Good morning, Alex and friends. I'm Grace. Today is Sunday, August 3rd, 2025, and you're listening to Alex's News. The weather in Riverside today will see a high of 95.1 degrees Fahrenheit, with a low of 66.6 degrees. It's certainly going to be a warm one, so remember to stay hydrated and seek out shade if you're spending time outdoors. Coming up, we'll dive into the reasons why the Environmental Protection Agency, under the direction of President Trump, is pushing to dismantle a foundational climate rule. We'll also examine the hurdles that are preventing psychedelic therapy from achieving mainstream adoption, despite its potential benefits. All this and more coming up on Alex's News. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. We begin our morning with a story that could quite literally change the climate of environmental protection in our country. Amidst deadly extreme weather events, the Trump administration's EPA has formally proposed revoking a foundational environmental regulation, the 2009 endangerment finding. For more, we turn to our expert reporter, Ethan. Ethan, this sounds huge. What is the endangerment finding?
Grace, it's the bedrock of federal climate action. Established in 2009, it's an EPA determination that specific air pollutants endanger public health and welfare. As detailed by EDF.org, it concluded 6 key greenhouse gases, like carbon dioxide, threaten us due to climate change impacts. This is the crucial legal key under the Clean Air Act, allowing the EPA to regulate emissions, and Democracy Now! Reports it's been instrumental.
Why is the current administration moving to revoke it now?
Administrator Lee Zeldin's Trump EPA is pushing this, with the proposed rule published on August 1, 2025. According to appnews.com, if finalized, it would eliminate the legal basis for federal regulation of greenhouse gases, effectively repealing related standards. Zeldin stated this will be the largest deregulatory action in the history of America, claiming regulations are too costly. They want to make regulations less taxing on the economy.
How are they justifying this reversal, especially with current extreme weather?
Their justification rests on a new Department of Energy report. This report, according to Al Jazeera, authored by scientists questioning mainstream climate science, was rapidly completed without peer review. It claims human-caused climate change appears to be less damaging economically than commonly believed, and suggests increased carbon dioxide promotes plant growth.
And the economic angle? EPA claims this will save Americans money.
Yes, Grace. The EPA asserts revoking the finding will save Americans approximately $54 billion annually. They claim it reinstates consumer choice for safe and affordable cars and decreases cost of living. The EPA suggests past regulations cost over $1 trillion in hidden taxes. It's an argument that certainly aims to drive home the point.
But I imagine strong counter-arguments. What are critics saying?
Absolutely. Critics, including earthjustice.org, condemn these justifications as climate disinformation and fringe science. A CBS News review indicated the EPA's own analysis projects repealing these regulations could lead to increased gasoline prices and higher trucking costs, raising prices. EIA data suggests a potential loss of 450,000 jobs by 2035 if standards are revoked. Their analysis might not be pennies from heaven after all.
What are the legal arguments involved?
The Trump EPA argues the Clean Air Act's air pollutant definition should only include localized harm, not global greenhouse gases. This directly challenges the 2007 Supreme Court decision in Massachusetts versus EPA, which explicitly held greenhouse gases, air pollutants, and EPA has authority. Legal experts say the Trump EPA's proposal misinterprets the act, trying to overturn a previous turn not of events at the highest court.
Ethan, this comes amidst intense, deadly extreme weather. What's happening now?
Grace, the weather paints a stark picture. As of early August 2025, a massive heat dome affects over 255 million Americans with dangerous triple-digit temperatures. This was potentially linked to a death in St. Anne, Missouri in late June. Oceans are superheating, devastating coral reefs. The Guardian reports 2 major wildfires, including a Grand Canyon megafire, which has charred over 164 square miles. 4,045 wildfires have burned over 3.2 million acres this year. Flash flood risks persist in the southeastern U.S. following deadly July flooding in New York. Climate scientists assert these events bear unmistakable signatures of anthropogenic climate change. It's truly a quasi-burning issue, Grace, and the risks are flooding in.
So what are the next steps for this proposed revocation, and what are the broader implications?
The public comment period ends September 21, 2025, 49 days from today. Public hearings are August 19th and 20th, 16 and 17 days from today. According to jdsupra.com, the EPA must consider comments before finalizing the rule, anticipated in 2026. If finalized, legal challenges are expected from environmental groups and states. Experts describe this as an uphill task with a slim chance of success. Challenges could lead to a Supreme Court ruling by June 2028.
Even if this goes through, it's not the end of the line for climate action from other avenues, correct?
That's crucial. Many U.S. states have robust climate policies and clean energy standards. Regional initiatives also exist. The private sector is committed to reducing emissions. Other federal agencies contribute. The Inflation Reduction Act, as reported by Time magazine, added explicit language to the Clean Air Act, deeming greenhouse gases as air pollutants, meaning the EPA might still be required to regulate them. So, while this particular battle is heating up, the fight for a greener future isn't entirely washed away.
Ethan, thank you so much for breaking down such a complex and critical story for us. We really appreciate your thorough reporting.
My pleasure, Grace.
And that was our first story of the morning. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll be diving into our second story on... Welcome back to the program. We're turning our attention now to a fascinating and evolving area of medicine, one that many might find truly mind-altering: the prospect of psychedelic therapy entering the mainstream. For more on this, we're joined by our health and science reporter, Chloe. Chloe, this is a topic that's really gaining traction, isn't it?
It absolutely is, Grace. While the concept of using what some call, quote, mind-altering drugs, quote, might sound like a trip, the scientific community is increasingly seeing them as a potential breakthrough for a range of mental health conditions. We're talking about substances like psilocybin, MDMA, and ketamine. According to reporting from National Public Radio's Up First from NPR and North Country Public Radio, the discussion is buzzing due to growing evidence of their benefits.
That's quite a shift in perspective. What exactly are these therapies promising to treat, and how do they work?
Well, Grace, research highlighted by everydayhealth.com, appliedclinicaltrialsonline.com, and mindstreamintegrative.com suggests these substances, when used with psychotherapy, can actually help facilitate neuroplasticity. That's essentially the brain's ability to reorganize itself. It allows individuals to process traumatic experiences, gain new perspectives, and integrate therapeutic insights for rapid and lasting mental health improvements. We're seeing promising results for post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, where MDMA has even been designated a, quote, breakthrough, quote, medication by the FDA. Psilocybin is looking promising for treatment-resistant depression and even LSD for generalized anxiety disorder. They may also aid in addiction recovery and help cancer patients with distress. Patients often report heightened awareness and emotional breakthroughs.
It sounds like these therapies could really open new doors for treatment. But the journey to mainstream acceptance must have been complex, especially given the history of these substances.
You are spot on, Grace. Early research in the 1950s and 60s hit a major tripping point when most psychedelics were classified as Schedule I controlled substances in 1970. This meant they had no accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse, effectively halting research for decades. As everydayhealth.com and appliedclinicaltrialsonline.com detail. However, interest has surged in recent years. Johns Hopkins University launched its Center for Psychedelic and Consciousness Research in 2019, lending significant academic legitimacy. We're also seeing states take a head start. Oregon was the first to legalize psilocybin services in 2020, with centers opening in summer 2023. Colorado followed in 2022, issuing its first healing center licenses in March 2025, and Denver issued its first license for a psychedelic healing center just last month, in July 2025. And New Mexico's Medical Psilocybin Act, effective June 20, 2025, is expected to be fully implemented by December 31, 2027, which is 2 years and 150 days from today. Ketamine, on the other hand, is a different trip altogether. It is already FDA approved as an anesthetic, and its derivative esketamine, known as Spravato, is approved for treatment-resistant depression, making it legally available nationwide.
That's a lot of progress at the state level. But despite this momentum, I understand there have been some significant bumps in the road, particularly at the federal level. What are the main challenges hindering their widespread adoption?
Absolutely, Grace. The biggest hurdle remains their federal classification as Schedule I controlled substances. This impacts insurance coverage and broad availability. A major setback occurred in August 2024 when the FDA rejected Lykos Therapeutics' application for MDMA-assisted psychotherapy for PTSD despite its prior, quote, breakthrough therapy, quote, designation. According to psychiatrist.com and discovermagazine.com, an independent advisory panel voted overwhelmingly against its effectiveness and benefits outweighing the risks.
That's a huge blow. What were the specific reasons for that rejection?
The reasons were multifold, Grace. The FDA cited insufficient evidence, requesting an additional Phase 3 trial. A significant concern was what's called, quote, functional unblinding, quote, meaning participants could often tell if they received MDMA or a placebo due to its psychoactive effects, which raises concerns about potential bias influencing results, as AP News has reported. Over 40% of participants also had prior illicit MDMA experience, raising concerns their expectations might have skewed outcomes. Issues with underreported side effects, cardiovascular risks, and even allegations of therapy misconduct and unethical conduct at one study site cast doubt on data integrity and raised serious patient safety concerns during vulnerable states. Finally, the FDA doesn't regulate the psychotherapy component, raising questions about its consistency.
That's quite a list of concerns. How is this impacting other companies working on psychedelic treatments?
It's definitely setting a higher bar, Grace. Companies like Compass Pathways, working on psilocybin for depression, are adjusting. They're exploring active placebos to address unblinding and recruiting psychedelic-naive participants. Interestingly, some in the industry are reportedly distancing themselves from intensive psychotherapy in primary trial designs, or rebranding it as, quote, psychological support, quote, rather than, quote, psychotherapy, quote. This aims to present a different regulatory framework, as the FDA does not regulate psychotherapy, as medpath.com and phillipslittle.com have noted. Compass Pathways, for example, is using, quote, psychological support, quote, for its COMP 360 psilocybin treatment. Beyond that, stigma and misconceptions persist, and the cost and accessibility are huge barriers. Oregon's psilocybin sessions can cost $1,000 to $3,000, with Colorado's individual sessions around $3,500. Most insurance doesn't cover this, creating a clear financial hurdle for many.
It sounds like there's still a long way to go before psychedelic therapy is widely accessible to everyone. What's the outlook for the future?
Well, Grace, despite the setbacks, the momentum is still strong. Stricter research standards, better clinician training, and efforts to address accessibility through models like group therapy are key steps forward. The industry is also adjusting its strategies based on the FDA's decision, hoping to present a clearer view for future approvals. According to NIH.gov, while psychedelic therapies are generally more expensive per session than traditional therapies, research suggests group therapy models could significantly reduce costs and potentially make them more cost-effective long-term due to rapid and durable benefits from fewer sessions. We are seeing some employer groups already investing in ketamine plans. This isn't just a niche interest. The growing recognition of the mental health crisis is driving significant interest from the business community, suggesting a potential paradigm shift in mental health care if these challenges can be overcome.
Chloe, thank you for shedding light on this incredibly complex and intriguing topic. It certainly gives us a lot to think about.
My pleasure, Grace.
We have been discussing the future of psychedelic therapy. Insights were drawn from National Public Radio, North Country Public Radio, everydayhealth.com, appliedclinicaltrialsonline.com, mindstreamintegrative.com, clevelandclinic.org, psychedelicpassage.com, oregon.gov, willametteweek.com, valedaily.com, 9news.com, cpr.org, popsy.com, emory.edu, cypost.org, isha.health, neuroglow.com, discovermagazine.healthjournalism.org, reason.com. Further information came from verywellhealth.com, nih.gov, researchgate.net, hushblackwell.com, pharmavoice.com, lobbyotech.eu, biospace.com, clinicaltrialsarena.com, isetm.org, caam.tech, medpath.com, phillipslittle.com, healthcarebrew.com, healthcarebrew.com, hcplive.com, mgmtdigital.com, harvard.edu, daytrip.com, Vicente LL. Here are some other headlines. It seems U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is looking to break the ice with some old friends. The agency has launched Operation Return to Mission, a major recruitment drive aimed at rehiring retired federal employees. This is part of an aggressive hiring spree to add 10,000 new personnel, fueled by a staggering budget increase to nearly $77 billion. The goal is to support the administration's target of 1 million deportations annually. To entice former employees back, ICE is offering a compensation package that's hard to refuse. A dual compensation waiver allows retirees to collect their full salary on top of their existing federal pension. Signing bonuses are as high as $50,000, with additional perks like student loan forgiveness. The campaign is pulling on patriotic heartstrings, with messaging like "Serve once more" and imagery of Uncle Sam, echoing a bygone era. However, the rapid expansion has some former officials concerned, worrying that the rush to hire could lower standards, and that the significant federal incentives might poach officers from local police departments already struggling with staffing. Meanwhile, things are heating up over the Black Sea, where a Ukrainian drone attack sparked a massive fire at an oil depot in the Russian resort city of Sochi. Debris from a downed drone reportedly struck a fuel tank at the Rosneft facility near the city's international airport, igniting a blaze that engulfed a tank holding 70,000 cubic feet of fuel. Over 120 firefighters were called to the explosive scene. While no casualties were reported at the depot, the attack is part of a broader Ukrainian strategy to target Russia's energy infrastructure, which is seen as fueling Moscow's war efforts. The attack prompted the temporary suspension of flights and triggered air raid sirens across the region. And in a story of the tables turning in Washington, the U.S. Office of Special Counsel, an independent federal watchdog, has opened an investigation into former special counsel Jack Smith. The probe comes after Republican Senator Tom Cotton alleged that Smith engaged in illegal political activity by trying to rush a trial against Donald Trump in what he called unprecedented interference in an election. The watchdog is examining whether Smith violated the Hatch Act, which restricts the political activities of federal employees. Smith, who led the investigations that resulted in 2 criminal indictments against Trump, resigned in January after the cases were dropped following Trump's election victory. From politics on the ground to cooperation in the stars. A SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket successfully launched a multinational crew of 4 to the International Space Station. The Crew 11 mission, which includes astronauts from the US, Japan, and Russia, rocketed to the station in a swift 15-hour journey for a 6-month stay. This particular crew is a unique assembly, as all 4 members were reassigned from other missions, largely due to ongoing issues that have grounded Boeing's Starliner spacecraft until 2026. The Crew Dragon capsule, appropriately named Endeavour, was certainly endeavoring for a record, making its 6th flight, the most for any Crew Dragon vehicle. Finally, Mother Nature is putting on a dramatic and dangerous show in Indonesia. Mount Lewatobi Laki-Laki has erupted twice in less than 5 hours, sending an ash-tonishing plume of volcanic material 18 kilometers, or 11 miles, into the sky. The eruptions have blanketed nearby villages in thick volcanic residue and hot thumb-sized gravel. Authorities have raised the alert to its highest level and doubled the exclusion zone around the crater. This is one of Indonesia's largest volcanic events since the deadly 2010 eruption of Mount Merapi, and it comes after the government had already permanently relocated thousands of residents from the area, following deadly eruptions in November. That's all we have for now. Today's episode was made by Alexander King with Claude Sonnet 4.0, Gemini Pro 2.5, Gemini Flash 2.5, and Google Cloud Text-to-Speech. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, Alex.